everybody, it's Kathy Champion at Random Acts of Crafting, and welcome back to my craft room. I think today we are going to do another installment on our Christmas card series, and I've had this card in mind and I've been wanting to make it. I made this card years ago and I absolutely fell in love with it. It was quite an intensive card, so this is more of a very fussy made card because there are a lot of steps involved, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of build it from the bottom up and show you as I go the process of how to build this card. Now the first thing we're going to do is it is going to be a 5x7 card, and it's going to open on a landscape fold like this. So this is nothing more than a piece of white cardstock, and I did use a really nice cardstock for this. I didn't use just a run-of-the-mill. This is a nice textured white cardstock, and it's kind of got I guess a texture with a sheen to it. I don't know if that's going to pick up in the camera or not, but probably not. But anyway, it's a beautiful piece of paper, and I cut this at 10 inches by 7 inches, and you can get this out of a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and then you're going to score it at 5, and it would be a 5x7 either portrait or landscape. And for this particular card, we're going to use it as landscape. Now I want to do a blue matte. So I have this piece of cardstock right here, and it's in a navy. And let me get my trimmer because we're going to need to trim this down. So it needs to be a 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So 6 3/4 right there by 4 3/4, which will be right there. And this particular piece of paper seems to fray a little bit, and I know it's not because my blade is dull. A lot of times if you've got a cheaper quality of paper, and I'm not sure where this came from, it was just a piece of that was in my stash and I used it, but it doesn't, it seems to want to fray a little bit. So what I'm doing is just taking my nail file and I'm just kind of buffing off those little frays. And anytime that you have a piece of cardstock that does that, you can easily do that. I keep an old emery board like this in my my little tool caddy over here. So when I need to work on a piece like that, it's very easy for me to do it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over just a small piece of white cardstock, and we are going to stamp on this. So basically I wanted to build the bulk of our card first, which is going to be that 5x7 card base, and then we're going to mat it with this blue so we have just a tiny bit of that white popping out around the edge. So we're just going to lay this up here, and what we're going to do now is I am going to grab this stamp set. This is a tiny little stamp set, and this is put out by Gerda Stiener, and it's called Happy Snowman. And it's very simple. It has a little bird, a snowman, and the sentiment that just says Merry Christmas. So it's a very tiny stamp set, but it is also a very impressive little snowman. So we're going to peel him off. I'm just going to sit him down, and you can see he's been well loved. He's very dark with ink because I have used him quite a bit, to say the least. So I'm going to get my Memento ink out because I want to stamp him so that I can use my alcohol markers to color him. So I'm just going to pick him up on a stamp block, and because this is a good size stamp, I am going to bring the ink pad to my stamp, and I'm just going to ink this up really good because I want a nice crisp image. And normally I would use my VersaFine, but because I'm going to be using alcohol markers to color him, I want to use the Mementos because I don't want that bleed. So I'm just going to make sure I get that inked up really good. That looks pretty good. And let's just stamp him on this little piece of paper. like so. I'm just going to give that ink time enough to absorb into that paper. And this will not be a quick video, and I may even have to do this in 2 parts. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how fast it goes as we get to going. Now, that's not a very crisp image, but we know that's what happens when we deal with using an ink other than VersaFine. So it's pretty good for the memento, so we're going to go with it. I'm going to clean my stamp up. I did put a little squeaky clean down on my scrub pad before I started because I knew that I would want to do this. And I use these little microfiber towels to clean off that excess ink. And it keeps them from getting linty, like they get lint on them really bad when you use the baby wipes or any other type of disposable wipe. So I just always try to clean them off with this microfiber, and you can see it does pick up a good bit of the residue. And so we're just going to set him over here for right now. And I want to go ahead and get out. Now I'm going to show you that I had already colored and fussy cut one. And this is how cute he is once you get him colored and fussy cut. So I think what I'll do is I'll show you real quick how I colored. And I'm just going to grab a few of my inks over here. Oops. Let's see, I'm going to do a light blue. I want to do this medium red, and I want a dark Christmas green, so I think this one. So let's start off with, and I want a gray. I want a darker, let's go with the lighter gray. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start off with his hat. And let's get his hat done. And I'm going in with the gray at first because I want to do a little bit of shadowing by using some black. But I'm going to go gray first. And I am just going to color around those leaves. And we know that the alcohol markers, the color kind of bleeds over anyway. So you just want to be careful not to get the ink. Don't go too close to the I guess what will be the red right here on your hat. So because you want that to be a nice crisp image for your red. So we're just gonna put down enough of ink so that it looks good. And we will go back with the black. And we're going to highlight around the edges, and then we're going to go back and blend it in to give this hat a nice weathered, worn look that you would think of with a snowman. I absolutely love snowmen. I enjoy stamping them. I love coloring them, and I just really have fun with them. So the next thing I want to do is I want to grab that medium red. And I am using the small nib on my Nuvo markers. And if you have not invested in alcohol markers, I will tell you that I have not used any of the other ones, so I can't claim to know the difference. But I will tell you that I have watched quite a few videos, and I have seen the Nuvo compared to the Copic, which are supposed to be the best. I was actually very, very impressed with the performance of the Nuvos, and they're like an eighth of the price. You can buy a whole set of 3 in a pack for like $5.99 for these, and I believe a Copic marker, one by itself, will run you at least that much. I'm going to go in now with this green. And I am going to color the leaves. I love the way these little leaves are up here on his hat. The little holly berries. He just looks so festive, like he's just ready for Christmas. And it's funny because, you know, there's a lot of places in the world that experience everything under the, in the southern hemisphere do not have snow for Christmas. They actually have summer during Christmas. But here in the States and a good portion of the world, we associate Christmas with cold weather, snow, sleigh riding, and hot chocolate, and all those types of festivities. So snowmen to me just say scream Christmas, and I love them. I think they're so cute. All right, I'm going to grab my black now, and I am going to just circle around the top of his hat like so. I'm going to come in just a little bit, and I'm going to grab that other gray one. And you always want to blend with a color one shade lighter than what you're doing. That will give you, see how that, just that little bit gives you, and it looks like the sun is shining on top of his hat and the little center part is glowing. So that is good. Now I'm going to come in here and just put a little bit of dark on the sides, like so. And I'm going to go back with the gray, and I'm going to blend that in just a little bit. And then I'm going to come back with the black a little bit more, and then the gray. And I'm going to continue alternating back and forth between these two markers to get that hat just like I want it. And it's, you know, it's no right or wrong way. It's just basically just coloring that in. And I'm going to put just a couple more dots and blend it in. I like the way that turned out. Now I am going to do the same thing with the brown. I'm going to go around the edges. Now this is why I said this video may run over, because it takes a while when you're doing coloring like this and explaining your technique. So if it does go over what I feel like is a decent time for a live, then we'll just we'll break this up into two parts and see what happens. I like that. I like the way it looks like the sun is shining on it. It looks like we've got a little bit of shininess right there, a little bit right there, and it gives that hat a little bit of personality. And that's exactly what I was looking for. So I think that worked out real well. We got our little holly berries done. And I want to decide, I think I want to do the scarf in blue. So I have this light blue, and I'm going to start with the lighter blue. And I'm just going to go in and just going to get this whole scarf colored with this light blue. I think I like the blue one better than I do the red. I actually have another snowman just like this one, but I did his scarf in red, and I didn't particularly like it as good as I did this one with the blue. And I think it's because of the blue coloring that I'm going to use on this particular card that it seemed like him having the blue scarf was just a better choice of color. Okay, I got that colored in. Now I want to grab a little darker blue, and I'm going to go up and get this blueprint blue, and I just want something a little shade darker. And I'm going to go around his neck and down around the edge of the scarf. I'm basically just going to kind of outline the scarf with this darker color. And a lot of times that's all it takes to give a little definition to your coloring, is just do an outline. Just outline it a little bit like that. I find coloring just, it's very relaxing. I I love to sit and play with my colors and see how well I can get things to blend together and look like they're highlighted. To me, it's just fun. So we're going to go in with that lighter blue. And I'm just going to go back over that darker, just to kind of give it, kind of blending it a little bit more. And I think I've told y'all this before, but a lot of people think when you blend that you need to use your blending marker because it says blend. That's not what this is for. This is supposedly to help you move the color. Like I got a little bit of blue right there on his face. So you're supposed to be able to use that to move that color back down to where you want it. And if you notice, that did help quite a bit. And so this really should say erase and not blend, because you always blend with a shade lighter than what your color that you put down. So let's go back in here. Now I'm going to put a couple of lines of this darker blue into the scarf like this. And then I'm just going to go in with the lighter one. I think I put this on the wrong one. I did. Well, we'll find that one in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and go back in here and blend that out. And you see how when you go over it, it kind of dissipates the lines and then they kind of become blurred. And look how pretty that scarf looks now. So now I got to figure out, what did I do? That is the blue. This was the gray. Aha, the blending. This was the one. And this one goes on here because it has the gray end on both of them. And I don't know how I did that, but I did it. Anyway, this is the end that goes on this one. Okay, so now I want to go in with this much lighter blue. This one right here. And this is 425. And I just want to go under the edge of the hat. And I just want to pick up just a little bit of that down around his face. Like that, because this is going to just give him a little bit more character, and it's also just going to help outline him a little bit, because snow is never completely solid white when the light hits it. I think a lot of times in snow I see blue, so we're going to just go up in here. Just kind of highlight him a little bit like that. I think he looks so cute. So I'm going to grab the black, and I am going to come in here and I'm going to do just a couple of little dots on his buttons. I don't want them to look perfect. And then I'm going to grab that gray, and I'm just going to go around the gray on those buttons just a little bit like that. Now I am going to go ahead and put my gray and my black up, and let's see, this one is the gray. This is my blue. Always try to make sure I get my markers back where they belong so I don't get them mixed up, because I do have these color coordinated. So now we need to do his nose. So I'm going to grab two shades of orange, and this is the paler orange, and I'm going to use it first. And I'm going to go right there in the middle and color in his entire little carrot nose. And then I'm going to go back with this color, and I'm just going to highlight, and I'm going to go right there where those little lines are that looks like the lines in the carrot, and I'm just going to kind of draw them in, coming down to the peak. And then again, as we always do, I'm going to go back with that lighter color and just kind of blend everything together. Now with this little snowman, it's not going to matter if you go out of your lines a little bit, because we are going to cut him out. Alright, we need to do his broom now, so I am going to grab this little brown. This is a 461, and I want to do this little place right there. And I'm going to go in and just make some little streaks in his broom where the little lines are at. Like so. And then I'm going to come back with this. This is called hay bale. And I am just going to fill that in. And then we need a darker brown that we're going to actually do the broomstick. So I'm going to come in very gently with this darker brown. Just like that. Now that's how easy our little snowman was to color in, and you see that didn't take long at all. Now I could fussy cut, but since I already have this one cut, I am going to skip that part so that we can get on to the next part of our stamping. So the next thing we're going to want to do with our stamps is, let's move our Memento ink. And I am going to grab this Brutus Monroe, and this is Alabaster Pigment ink. The color is Alabaster, and it's a beautiful white. It's a very creamy white. And this is a very juicy ink pad. Now what I did is I loaded up, I went through my stamp sets and found some little snowflakes. And I want to put snowflakes around the border of this particular mat. And I'm going to do that by stamping on and off. And I think what I'm going to do, so I don't have to clean up, is I am going to grab my little laminated sheet that my friend Donna made for me with my channel name on it. Isn't that so cute? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and ink up these snowflakes really well, because you want a really good impression of snowflakes around the edge. And I'm going to kind of stamp on and off the paper, and I really want to give them time enough to soak into that dark paper like that. Those snowflakes are gorgeous. So I'm going to go in and out. Let's see, let's go like that. And I'm turning my block in different directions as I stamp, so that I'll get them in different areas. Let's see, let's go up this way. And then maybe like this. You can see what I mean about this being a Make a Fuss card, because there are a lot of elements that goes into making a card like this. It's time consuming, but I think us crafters, as crafters, we love to put work into our projects. I know I do. I enjoy a project that I can look back at after I'm done and think, I'm really proud of the way that turned out. And I'm hoping that that's what that you're getting out of my channel, and some of the things that I'm bringing to y'all, that you are enjoying the process of making new and different things, and also the journey, the process of doing, you know, maybe something different, something that takes a little bit more finesse, because this is how we learn. We don't learn by just doing what we feel comfortable doing, but sometimes stepping out of our comfort zone and doing something out of our wheelhouse makes us a better crafter. I know for me, I have been challenged so many times by a lot of you who've asked me to do things that I wasn't quite sure that I could do. But you know what? Somehow I managed, I muddled through, and I was able to bring it. And I felt really accomplished by doing that because, hey, I'm still learning too. We're all learning. Just because I have a YouTube channel and I bring you videos does not mean that I'm an expert on all things crafting, because that I'm not. I just love to craft, and I love to share with all of you what I do when I'm crafting. And these are some of the things that I do, and I've learned some new things. Some of y'all have taught me some new things, and I have learned new things just from trial and error, and it's been so much fun. So, okay, we're just about all the way around this card, and I'm just going to stamp a couple of more times, about like, I don't want them to overlap. Let's see. I think that one's going to overlap just a hair, but that's alright. Oh no, it didn't. Very good. Now I see one little place there that I want to get a little edge of a stamp. And you can do that around the edges if you see any naked places that you feel like. Now this ink is very wet, so if you use a pigment ink, you are going to have to let this lay and dry. You don't want to touch it too much because it will smear. I've gotten a little bit of smearing right there. So just be patient with it. Okay, I think that's going to work because we're going to be putting something else over that. So let me get a wet wipe, and I'm going to wipe this off, and I'm going to clean off my snowflakes because I do not want to leave that pigment ink on them. Okay, I'm going to clean this off. Make sure I don't have any on my glass mat. Okay, and I definitely want to close this ink back up. Like I said, I have so enjoyed this white pigment ink. So if you don't have a white ink in your stash of inks, I would highly recommend getting something like that because that is really a fine ink to have. Alright, I'm going to lay that down, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a die, and this is the die set that I'm going to use to make a frame, and I think the largest one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lay it over top of this, yeah, because I want enough of those snowflakes to peek out. I think that's the size I need. I'm just checking it against something over here to see if this is the right size. Yeah, and it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab just a white piece of cardstock. Let's see if I have a white piece over here in my scraps, because I did use some white earlier. Yep, I think I used it all. So, well, let's see. I have a white piece right here. This will work. This is a scrap. So I am going to lay this very gently up here on top of the card base and just let it sit there for now, along with my little snowman. And I'm going to bring up my Big Shot. I do apologize for this being so big. It is kind of big and bulky, and I am going to have to move this card. I don't want to bump it and mess that up because we put a lot of work in stamping those snowflakes. And I am going to grab my plates for my Big Shot. And I'm going to load that in along with this piece of white and this large frame. So I do have a magnetic plate, so that's really nice with this Big Shot because it adheres it right to my paper where I want it. I think I'm going to come down this way a little bit. like so. And then I'm going to load in this top plate, and we're going to crank it through. Now you're going to hear a little popping and cracking. That's normal when you're die cutting. And that just lets you know that it's cutting that paper with those little teeth that's on that die. So let's see if we got a good cut. And yes, we did. And there's our die cut. And I'm going to put this back over here with my die. Let's see, we have got a couple more things that we need to die cut, and one is going to be this little snow scene, and this is what it looks like. It is a beautiful little snow scene, and here's the die. It actually goes down like that, but it looks like this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out and wait while I've got the big shot up here. Let's see if it will work on here. I don't think so. Nope, we're still going to need to get a piece of white cardstock. So let me grab a piece. I should have just grabbed a piece earlier, but I didn't. And I think because we have such a large footprint on this big shot, we can actually move this to the side, put our paper down, or maybe put it right in the middle. Maybe we'll do it in the middle, like that. And I actually want to bring this to the edge of the paper. And you'll see why once we get this cut. It'll save me from having to trim off that bottom piece. So I'm just going to lay my plate over top of it like that. And then I'm going to push that through. And because this is very intricate, I am going to run it through about 4 times, twice forward and twice back. I think that will give us a good chance of getting a very good cut on that piece. So let's see what we got. I am not sure that that cut good, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take our scissors without taking this out of the off of the die, and I am going to cut this off like this. And I am going to lay it back down this way, and I'm going to run that through again. Better to be safe than sorry, because once you pull it out, it's almost impossible to get it lined back up, and I really want it to have a good cut. So let's see what we got now. Sometimes, like I said, with these intricate dies, it can be a little tricky. Oh yeah, we got it that time. Look how pretty that is. Okay, I'm not going to worry about cleaning those out right now. The main thing I want to do is get all of these little pieces loose. And as I pull this up, you see it cuts out like that. So we're going to have to take our scissors and trim up the side just a little bit. So I'm just going to take a regular pair of scissors and I'm going to cut up like so. And then I'm going to come over here to this side and very gently, and I'm just going to cut that straight up as well. We can always trim this down or however we want to do it. I want to round this corner like that. And the same thing with this one. I just want to round it off a little bit. Okay, that looks really good. Now let's move this out of our way. Get all my little pieces off of there. And again, we can go ahead. I believe we are done with all of our, well actually we're not, but we're going to put the card together before we actually do anything else. But before we do that, we need to do some distress inking on this piece. And I want to do this in a very soft blue, and I'm trying to decide if I want to do it in, I'm thinking maybe some tumbled glass. Let's start off with the tumbled glass. I had used the broken china before, and it ended up being just a little bit darker than I would have liked for it to have been. So let me find my little brush. And here's my bigger brush. We'll start off with the bigger one. And again, I use these makeup brushes. These are very, very dense. I mean, you can barely see that they're a brush. They look like a sponge. They're so tight. But these are the best for distress inking. So I am going to start over here, and I'm just going to go around the edges like this. And I'm picking up that ink as I go. And I'm going in circular motion because I don't want a glob of ink to be in any one place. I just want it to look very natural. So, picking up that ink. And anytime you feel like you need some more, just, you know, grab some more ink and tap it down on your surface. If you don't have a glass mat, definitely use something of plastic. If you don't have a laminator to make you a plastic piece like Donna did for me, you can very easily take a Ziploc bag and put a piece of cardstock in it and make your own. I used that for ages. It was the next best thing I had. So until my husband decided that I really needed this glass mat, and I'm so glad he convinced me on to get this because I have loved this glass mat. It is really a wonderful thing to have in my craft room. It cleans up so good. I don't have to worry about getting ink on my my craft mat. So I really do enjoy working this or having this. It is just a wonderful little investment for my craft room. So he's always looking for stuff for me. He's just such a wonderful person. I'm very blessed, to say the least. So anyway, we are just about got this edged all the way around, and once I get the edging, I'm going to go in with a little bit of the paleness of the rest of this ink. And see, I'm just picking what's left on there, and I'm just going to go in now and work it toward the center. Just like that. By the time I finish, I shouldn't have too much ink to wipe up with a wet wipe. Okay, let's see. I think we need a little bit more right in here. And that's pretty much what you have to do when you're doing distress inking. You know, just pick it up every now and then and look at it and say, let's see, I think I need a little bit more right in there. And just work it in. Alright, I think what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to end the video for right now, and I'll probably put the other half of it up in a second part video, because we are already up to almost 40 minutes on this part, and I think that's plenty long enough for a video. This does need to dry, so I'm going to let this dry, and then I will upload the first part of this, and I will come back and I will record the second part, and we should have this Christmas card ready to put up. Hopefully, still don't think I got enough right there. We should have this ready to go up by Monday, so that will be a good thing. I'm always recording ahead of time because you never know when something's going to happen and going to pull you away from your videoing. So I try my best to have my videos done ahead of time. Doesn't always happen, but in my perfect world it does. So I'm going to lay that over there and just let it dry. I am going to clean up a little bit. And the first thing I do is get the ink off my fingers because that is very important. And then I clean my brush. These brushes clean up so good. I got these off at Amazon, and if you go in there and just look for makeup brushes, and you will see these. They are gold handle. They have a gold handle with a black grip. They come in, I think there's 5 in a pack, different sizes. So they are just the best for distressing, like what I just did. So I'm just going to clean that ink off of there. And see how wonderful that cleans up? I just love it. So when we get back, we are actually going to be building our card. The only thing that we're going to need to do is maybe cut some little snowflakes to put on the card. And we will actually be putting the card together with this piece and this piece, along with that piece, and our trusty little snowman. And you can already see how cute this is coming together. So stay tuned for the second part of this video. I am sure that you will not be disappointed. Here's another one I did, and I did this one with broken china. And I don't think you can this one does look just a tiny bit darker, but not much. So, but we will come back and we will put this card together, and I think you will be pleasantly surprised at how gorgeous this card is going to be once we get it finished. So stay tuned. Come back and join me for part 2. And as I always tell you, be a blessing to someone. You know, you never know what people are going through. You never know what a person's needs are. If you feel led to help someone, there's a reason. And, you know, don't get cheated out of your blessing by not obeying what God tells you to do. So, just live your life full, and live your life for Him. I don't think it can get any fuller than living for Jesus. So until we meet again, God bless you all, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.